What's up, guys? Here's what we're going to look at today. This video is inspired by a feature request that I came across for multiple cost catalogs. And what this request is asking is basically they have three main customers and they need three versions of their cost catalog. And one for homeowners, one for custom builders, and then one for production builders. So what we've got today is a video using if statements, nested if statements based on parameters, and then also a way to update the catalog in mass. And so it's kind of a workaround, but I think it could work. So we're going to take a look at how to do that. And this video is going to be in two parts. This first part, we're going to focus on the JobTread side, where we're creating the formula, creating the parameters, and the formula that is going to calculate the cost for the item. Then we're going to go into a spreadsheet and we're going to, for the second part, we're going to take a look at how are we going to create an update for the entire catalog. Maybe you've got 300, 500, maybe you've got 1,000, a few thousand cost items that need this function, and you don't want to have to go into every one of them and write a formula for every one of these functions. So let's take a start here in JobTread. So here's what we've got. Here's the request. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to come up. We've got a sample item here. We're going to go into this item. And we need the cost of this item right here to be calculated and to be flexible dependent on what one of the parameters is for that job. So we are going to open up cost, set unit cost with a formula. So this is where we're going to write our formula. Now, before we start getting into this, this is a sample item. Let's call it drywall. Okay. And let's say that it is square foot. There you go. Okay, so, but we need a formula to calculate this cost based on the parameter. We're going to go into parameters first. And we're going to create a new parameter. We're going to select the parameter type to a pick list. And we're going to create our values. So we're going to say homeowner. Our second option is going to be custom. We're going to make this one word. It works a little easier in the formulas if it's just kind of one word. Custom, builder, and then a third option, which will be production builder. And we're going to save that. Parameter is going to be, let's say something like client type or cost catalog type, or whatever, however you want to phrase that. And we're going to make the default value say homeowner. Okay, and we're going to save this. So now we've created the parameters that we're going to use within the job in the budget field, the budget tab, to select which cost book are we going to want to apply to the budget. So we're going to come to our formula. Let's say drywall. We're going to start with an if statement. We're going to say if the parameter, which we're going to call the client type, if client type equals home owner, then make it 12. Let's call it 12. So we're going to test the function as we use it. So we're going to update this. So we've got our sample item, drywall. Now we're going to use this in a job. Let's test it out. Go to our budget. Let's go ahead and clear that out. Okay, now we're going to add an item. We're going to add sample item drywall. Now and let's say there's 100. Okay, so we got 100 square feet, but the unit cost isn't determined until we select parameter. And let's see, custom home builder, save. Okay, parameters, homeowner, save. Okay, so there's something we need to adjust in this formula, this cost formula. So let's go back to the catalog. And I think what we need is we need some quotations around the text so that way the function understands. See, there we go. Now we got the unit 12 showing up. So these quotations around words within formulas basically tell the formula to read this as a string. Otherwise, the function doesn't really know what to do with those characters. So if the client type is homeowner, 12. We'll update that. Just do another quick test here. Delete from budget, and let's add it again. Cost item, sample item drywall, and okay, we got the cost. Let's say there's 100. Okay, we've got the unit cost 12. If our parameter is something else, then it doesn't know what to do with that. So now we're going to go back to our catalog here. Now let's add the other options. Now the way that this is going to work is we're going to use what's called a nested if statement. So basically it says if this client type equals homeowner, if it's true, it's going to result in 12. If it's false, then what happens? And we're basically, a nested if is like a second fork in the road. You can go left or you can go right. If you go left, then the answer is correct and it's true. You give an output for that. If you go right, then you go to another fork in the road. And essentially this is how we're creating 3 options from that parameters pull down list. So we could go to if. So if it's not homeowner, it's got to be one of these other 2. We're going to say if it's not if it's not homeowner, then we're going to go to the second if statement. We're going to pick client type, and it's going to be the same thing. Equals, quotations, custom builder, I think is what we used. Is that right? Parameters, custom builder. Okay. So if the client type is equal to custom builder, our second fork in the road, then say the custom builder gets a price of 10. And if not, we're going to use the shortcut because if it's not homeowner, it's not custom builder, then we know it's going to be production builder. And so the production builder gets a price of 8. And let's, it looks like we're missing probably a closed bracket. Yep, there we go. Okay, so let's give this a test. So we're going to go into our budget, delete from budget. All right, let's add this again. Sample drywall. Okay, right now the unit cost is coming at 10. If we go into parameters and we switch to homeowner, now that unit cost is 12. We go to parameters and we select production builder. Now it's 8. So our function is working, and this is great. And effectively, you can now have a basically workaround to have 3 different catalogs without creating duplicates of cost items based on the parameters. So this is the first part. Now this next part we're going to work within spreadsheets. So now in the second step, and this is going to be a little tricky if you're not familiar with Google Sheets or other spreadsheet applications like Excel and numbers. But what we're going to do is we are going to mass update our catalog. Say maybe we've got 500 of these items and we don't want to have to custom type in the cost for each of these numbers for the formulas for each cost item. So what we're going to do is we're going to export our catalog, and then we're going to work with it inside a spreadsheet, and then we're going to update it back to the catalog, and we'll be able to update the formula for the entire catalog pretty quickly. So this is the way this is going to work. We're going to start by going to our catalog, and we're going to export. Now this is going to export the entire catalog, not just what's shown. but we'll see how we can work in this right now. So what we'll do is, it's an extensive catalog here with 1,000 or so items. But let's say we find just the rows that we want to affect if it's not the whole catalog. And let's say we just want to affect the 4-inch drain PVC pieces. So we'll take these rows here to the top and delete them. And then we'll come here and get the rest of the columns out. And now we're going to highlight the items, including the header. Control C, and we'll go into our spreadsheet. My personal preference is Google Sheets. Go to the first column here, hit Control V, and now we've got our cost items in a spreadsheet so that we can edit the formulas. Go ahead and wrap the text on that just so it's a little easier. And this one description we're just going to get rid of. Okay, so let's zoom in here. We're going to be looking for this column right here. It says Unit Cost Formula. We're going to highlight it so we can see it. This is what we want to populate for the catalog upload. So what we'll do is we're going to add a few columns right here just so that we can work with this. We're going to highlight the columns, right click, insert 3 columns to the right. So this is going to work as, let's go one more. There we go. This is going to work as this is our home builder cost. Then we've got our custom builder cost and our production. And then this is our formula. And we're going to make this a little bit bigger so we can see this formula coming in. So let's say we've got these prices here and equals this, I don't know, -1. Equals this -2. Okay, so we've got our different price points. We've got our home, which right now is currently titled unit cost. And then we've got our custom home building cost and our production building cost. So this is where we're going to edit the formula. Let's go back to JobTread, go into our cost item. We're going to highlight this, copy it, go into the spreadsheet, and we're going to use a function called concatenate. And what concatenate does is it basically outputs a string. So whatever kind of numbers or equations, it outputs a string, appends them together. So for example, if we put in quotation marks, 3 + 4 equals space, quotations, and then we use a comma to separate the items. So we're using commas to separate the pieces we want. Then we can say cell H2, and we can close the brackets. And what it'll do is it'll produce that H2 column is in every column here. So that's kind of the way that you can use that. If you wanted to add like the word tree in front of all of your tree assets, this is the function you would use to quickly add the text tree in front of all those cost items without having to go into each and every single one of them and type in the word tree in front of that tree. So that's how the function works. Now, in order to get this to work for being able to upload it and import it back into JobTread, basically for Google Sheets to show the formula as text as we want it to show in the upload, it's going to be a little tricky. So we're going to move slow. And the reason it'll be tricky is this right here. We use these quotations. See how the quotations didn't show up in the result, and neither did this comma? Those are characters that are used by the function to identify what belongs in the output. And our function from JobTread here, as you can see, includes You guessed it, quotations and commas. So we're gonna move slow. We might run into a couple of hiccups, but we're gonna move slow here so that it produces the result that we want. And we're gonna build this function in stages. The great news is we build this function once, and then we can copy the function down the rows and it'll produce the formulas for all of our cost items. So we're gonna go into concatenate. So we are inside empty brackets and we're gonna hit Control V. So you notice that not everything is green. If it's green, that means the function is interpreting it as a string. It's not all string. Basically, it only thinks that it's gonna produce homeowner and custom builder and doesn't really know what to do with the rest of this. If we hit enter now, we're gonna get an error. Here's how we start eliminating that errors. We're gonna go slow here. So our function is this section here. We're gonna start by putting quotations around the outside of that function. Okay, so now it's all showing up the way we want it to, except it thinks that homeowner, it thinks that this quotation is the end of this quotation right here, and then it starts here to here, and then here to here. That's what the function is interpreting right now, and we need to help it understand what we're going for. So we're gonna start by going to the homeowner, and the trick to get quotations to show up within concatenate function is to add a few more, basically. You're basically putting a quotation inside a quotation. Sorry, we also need a comma here. So basically we're saying, let's produce this string, comma, homeowner, comma, you see now it's producing what we want right here. So we've got, it's gonna produce this string where it says if brackets client type equals, and then that string ends. So this quotation doesn't show up, this comma doesn't show up, this quotation doesn't show up, this one does, homeowner, and then it ends, and then a comma, okay, so we had an extra comma in here and it wasn't producing the result that we want. This will probably be easiest if you kind of just copy what is here. This can be a little, as you can see, we're not quite done. It's a little bit confusing here because we have to have extra quotations to get the quotations here to show up as we want them to. Now, the last step in this function is that we're going to go to the numbers that right now we've baked into the equation, numbers 12, 10, and 8. What we want is for them to be referenced from the cell, populated from the cell reference. So we'll go into 12, we're gonna do these one at a time. So we need to view this number. If we click it, that's that one number. So basically we need to put a quotations, we need to put a quotation and then a comma, and then the number, and then a comma, and then a quotation in place of every one of these numbers, and then take this number and make it the cell reference, say G3. And this is what we're going to need to replace each of the numbers between the commas. So again, my recommendation on this, move slow. So let's actually just copy that in as G2, Control C, and then we're going to go into the function. We're going to delete the number 12, and we're going to put that G2 in there. Let's see if it gives us what I want. Okay, great. It's looking great. We've got the number 6.5 showing up from this cost. Now let's do that for the number 10, which is going to be H2. H2. And we're going to copy this. Now we're going to go into this function, find the number 10, hit enter, custom builder 5.5. Great, we're making great progress. Let's do the last one, I2. We're going to copy that in, go to the function, find the number, replace it with the cell reference, and I think we're there. So now we are producing in this spreadsheet cell the output of the function that's going to be needed in JobTread. If the client type is equal to homeowner, then the cost of the item is 6.5. If it's not, then look at the second if statement. If the client is custom home builder, yes, 5.5. If not, then 4.5. So now that we've got this function written, all we have to do is drag it down. And now we've created that formula for all of our items. That's if we have the cost item for our home builders, our custom builders, and our production builders. The last step is we'll copy these. You can grab the whole column, right click copy, and then we're going to come to our cost formula, and we're going to right click, and we're going to do a special paste. We only want to put out the values only. And what this does for us is now we've got, these are just, it's like we typed it all in. So it's just, there's no formulas, it's just the text. So we're going to zoom out here for a second. And now that we've got the unit cost formula produced for all of our cost items, we can go ahead and we can delete these guys. Delete, and we can clear the unit cost because now that's being produced by the formula. And then we can take this file, download, comma separated values, CSV, and then we can upload that into JobTread. And after getting through building the function in the spreadsheet, we are able to produce the formulas for all of our cost items for the entire cost book. So thank you for going on this journey with me. This was a little bit of a trip. It's a little bit of a workaround, but it may be worth it to save you from triple entering the cost items for your entire catalog. So there it is. Thanks, guys.